we'll give away part of this for free. I'll tell you exactly what it is.
We're going to teach the Spanish train change right here?
Yeah, a very quick overview. Essentially what this is I'm second dealing a double in this motion into a Stuart Gordon turnover and then a paired laydown. So this is 2 cards. Yep.
Yeah, no, it's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary.
But perfect for this list.
Exactly.
Hey, what's going on? Nick Locapo here, and welcome to another Penguin Magic Top 10. I am here with my buddy Erik Tate.
Hey, Nick.
Eric, what's going on?
Oh, I'm really excited for this one.
So I'm excited that you're here because you're my source whenever I need to learn any super difficult card magic.
I love the difficult stuff.
I know, I don't know why.
I know.
No, I do know why.
I work way too hard. No, like I have a background as a juggler. When I got into card magic, it was always like the really difficult sleights that it made me interested.
Yeah.
And of course, like I'm a huge Leonard Green fan, and his stuff is just like off the wall.
Yeah, I think a lot of people when you first get into card magic, well, at least for me, I really loved working on difficult stuff. I'd never do it for anybody because I was like borderline good enough on it. But I know that you're like kind of known for being able to do all this stuff really well.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I do work hard, but I think if you're at home and before we even get into this list, I think one of the things that I talk about in my Penguin Live lecture where I teach some of this stuff is if you want to start doing this stuff, the big thing is to go do it. Like don't just do it. Like it's a lot of the difficult moves are not just technical difficulty, it's confidence level.
Yeah.
And so I started like going out and doing them because here's the thing, if you do one of these moves and you screw it up in someone, you're not going to destroy magic.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not.
Do it for your friends, do it,
Well, there's 2 schools of thought, right? Like if you're putting together a show or an act or something that you're going to go out and do, man, there is a big tendency to choose things that are easy.
Yes.
And that's justified. I mean, like I'm looking to cut corners all the time.
Oh, yeah.
However, like in your show in particular, you're shining the spotlight on difficulty.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Right, that's part of your thing.
100%.
Right.
I mean, that's definitely something that I think people come to me to see, and it's also just something I enjoy. And if you like doing difficult card moves, then just go ahead and do those difficult card moves.
Well, we got a lot to go through, I think, here. So we have a list of 10 of the most difficult things that you know how to do.
I think these are 10 of the most difficult things that I know how to do. They're definitely not the most difficult things. There's some crazy difficult stuff on there, like Chad's the clip shift was on here for a little bit, but I can't do it, so I didn't. So I took it off. But it's something I love. But starting at number 10 is something that I do a lot, which is the Erdnase one-handed shift.
Okay.
Which is great because so it's actually this. It's the Erdnase one-handed shift. It's a weird move because it essentially the idea is you actually could put the deck back together and then you could cut the deck and then recut the deck so that you could reverse a cut. I don't actually use it as a shift the way Erdnase described it in the book. For me, it's like sort of a flourish or a fidget move because it's one of those, you go back and try and learn this from Erdnase, the first couple of times you try and do it, you're like, I don't understand. There's some weird forces going on with it where you're like ring fingers coming in and grabbing this. But something I actually learned from Ben Earl is you can use this in place of the hot shot cut. So you can actually go through and then pop this card out.
Oh, it's like backwards there.
Yeah, and there's some really neat stuff that you can do with it. Actually, it's in his past Midnight DVDs. He talks about using it as a hot shot cut and like how to make it look like you're doing stuff. So it's not mine to teach here, but you should definitely check it out in there.
And when you say Erdnase, you're obviously talking about
The Expert of the Card Table.
Right.
Yeah, that book. It's taught in there. It's pretty early on.
Are we going to talk about that book a little bit?
I think we might talk about that book at some point.
I think that might be on this list a little bit here and there.
Yeah, I think it is. It is definitely. It does come up, but it's really more of a fidget move for me. There's some really neat stuff you can do with it, but it's definitely one of those things that when I'm sitting around at a convention, like you'll see me do this a lot, just like messing around, because it took a long time to learn, and then people sort of look over and go, "Is that the Erdnase one hand?" Because you just don't see a lot of people do it.
Yeah, I've always struggled with the things that you know, this typically I've always found you use your thumb and then come towards the back of your hand.
Yeah.
Anything that goes forward and out where the cards could spill out onto the floor are things that I've always struggled with.
Oh, I definitely learned this while sitting at a desk and having to gather cards up over and over again.
No doubt. Drop a like if you can do this, because I can't do this. Okay?
So there's gonna be 4 likes of the people who are moving on to number 9, though. I think the one that is definitely one of my go-to moves, and I actually just did it right now, is the one-handed top palm. I think there are some really good resources for this. I know I cover it in my Penguin Live Act. I cover it in my Murphy's at the Table pretty in depth, and I know I've got some other things coming out that I'm going to be talking about with it. And I know Jay Sankey talks a lot about it in, I think, his Revolutionary Card Magic DVD series.
That sounds familiar, actually. Yeah.
And I know Michael Lamar covers it, and Daryl cover it in theirs.
Powerful move.
It is, if you are not afraid to palm cards, doing a palm with 2 hands is definitely something that I think a lot of people do, but being able to just take the deck and set it down and come away with a card with 1 hand it's
super strong.
Super strong. And one of the ways I really like to use it is I will have somebody pick a card and then return it back to the deck, and then I'll control it to the top, and I'll say, you know what, why don't you shuffle the cards, and I'll drop the deck in their hand while coming off with a one-handed top palm, and it's so disarming.
Yeah, it is really, you know, I don't know the rest of the list.
Yeah.
But I already know that if I had to choose one, this might be one of the things that it's like, man, if you're going to go after something, because maybe we should talk at some point about how you practice some of these things, or maybe what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
But like for me, I might practice just this move for a month.
Yes.
Because, man, this is an invaluable tool right here.
It is. I know that there's some things on this list that I am known for doing a lot, but arguably this is one of the things that I use the most. I think that it's on the easier side once you start to understand the movements involved, but it's definitely very frustrating at first, because a lot of people, when they start to do it, the card like squirts out of their hand. Yep. But there's some good resources, but really the best way to practice it is to just pick the deck up, put the deck on the table, and try and come away with the card over.
Well, I was going to say, like, you can actually just force this into any routine you're doing without even ever revealing the card or anything.
Oh yeah.
If they just have to take the deck to shuffle, and it doesn't even matter if you control the card, just try to steal one.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like that's it.
Actually, when you're saying what's the best way to practice some of this stuff, it's like asking what's the best way to practice the classic force. It's just no matter, anytime you're having somebody pick a card out of the deck, just go ahead and classic force them. And that's the same with this. Anytime you're going to palm a card, or even just set the deck down, palm that card out, do it all the time.
Yeah, great move, great move. What do you got at number 8?
Oh, number 8. This is something, I can't demonstrate it here because we'd need like a big table, but it's something that I've been hunting after for years. I read it in a book called The Phantoms of the Card Table by Gazzo and David Britland.
Okay.
The punch deal.
The punch deal.
Yeah. So this is a way of marking cards tactily, so that there's a small bump on the back of the cards, and then it's an old card cheating move. There's actually almost no use for it in Magic. This is just one of those things I practice so that when I'm at a convention, I can be like, hey, you guys want to see something cool?
Makes you sound, you want to deal a punch? Yeah.
So it's usually a needle is used to press through the face of the card. So there's a tiny, like, microscopic bump on the back that you can feel, and then you combine it with a second deal. So the way you would use it in a card cheating game is that you would have maybe 2 sets of cards. Like, you would punch the 6s and the queens, and then of those 8 cards, as you feel that bump on the back, you then stop dealing off the top and start dealing the second card, and you hold it back until you get to yourself or your confederate. So at that point, as you're going around and you're either dealing tops or dealing seconds, then you end up, you can deal a pair, 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, or full house, depending on how those cards come up. And it's one of those things that once you understand the feel, it's super fun to practice. But it's also super valuable because learning the punch taught me how to move seamlessly between dealing tops and seconds, which is, a lot of people, when they set up to do the second deal, they're going to deal like a bunch of seconds right in a row. But being able to switch between tops and seconds makes it even more deceptive.
Now, I know we're talking about super difficult card magic. I'm assuming second deals are nowhere near this list.
No, I don't think that I actually have the second deal in this list. I think the second deal sort of is.
Well, it's kind of an entry level sleight that you might get hooked on. It seems to be like the gateway sleight, right?
Yeah, I think that the second dealing is definitely what led me down the path for a lot of these, and I think that when a lot of people think of super difficult card sleights, it's all the false dealing that they come into. They think of second deals, bottom deals,
middles and bottoms and things. Yeah.
And to be honest, when I think about the magic that I do and the super difficult card magic that I do, false dealing is almost never used. It's something that I can do, but it's really
the best. Yeah, the best uses for it seem to be demonstrations, other than anything else.
It's showing off that you can do it. Whereas, like dealing the punch is definitely a show-offy thing, which is why it's low on the list.
Right.
But it's definitely something that it teaches you rhythm and how to get a feel for a deck of cards.
Sure. No
and
doubt.
it's a secret marking system, which is always fun.
Yeah, you don't want to reveal that one to the
No.
crowd. No. You're still trying to hunt it down. So, let's keep this rolling.
Okay.
You got some more on you? Number 7?
Number 7 is something that I actually did on national television, and I did it on Fool Us. And I'm here to tell you that I actually did it. It's the McMillan one-handed turnover switch.
I would never know what this move was unless you did it on national TV.
This is used in my my invisible 3-card Monty routine.
Yep.
And one of the best resources for it is Jason England's Foundations DVDs, which I know we sell on Penguin, so you can hunt it up. So Jason England, monster sleight of hand artist, knows all of the big gambling moves.
Yep.
And the McMillan one-handed turnover switch was originally taught in it's a pamphlet, and I'm really sorry I can't tell you which one, but it was like a self-published set of lecture notes. But Jason went ahead and actually taught it with permission from the creator in the Foundation series. And it's a card muck. It's a secret way of switching a card that you have palmed for a card that's on the table. And I first got attracted to this move because, do you ever see the movie Shade?
Yes.
Stuart Townsend.
Yep.
If you're watching this, hit pause, go watch Shade.
You're only going to watch the beginning, right?
Yeah, it's only the beginning, because the rest of the movie is wonderfully terrible. It's a movie that was made by magicians for magicians about card cheating, but in the opening title sequences of Shade, it's like Jason England and R. Paul Wilson and some of these and Damian Neiman doing some of the most difficult card moves you could ever see. And it's all shot from underneath, on a glass table, and I will never forget, this hand slides in and it's palming a card in this really crazy, weird offbeat, not a gambler flat palm, but not a full palm. And then it slides underneath a card that's on the table. And as the hand turns over, it sucks in the card that's on the table, and then it spits out the card that's palmed. And there's no covering action. And the card is turned over. And I remember seeing that move. It's actually the move that inspired my invisible 3-card Monty routine. I remember seeing that move and going, oh God, I want to use that in a routine. And it took me probably 8 years to get it down.
Yeah.
And then, and a little side note was when I was taping for Fool Us, there's an issue with the move that the card comes out kind of bent up. And I remember working with Brent Braun, working with you, working with Michael Close, and not being able to get that bend out of the card because of the way I was using it. And Johnny Thompson walked up, and he goes, what if you did this? And I hold the card next to my face, and you can't see the bend in the card. And it was like, I worked with some of the best minds in magic on this for months, and Johnny Thompson looked at it for 2 seconds and fixed it.
Yeah, you hear that story a lot about Johnny. Yeah. So I've always been wondered about this. So I know that you love super hard moves.
Yeah.
But is there a better solution for that moment?
Oh.
And you've just chosen to go the hard route.
Yeah. So when you look at the invisible 3-card Monty routine, the whole routine is designed to use just the toughest sleights, so that when magicians watch it, they go, "Oh God, he's doing that." It's really me
showing off.
Really showing off. Yeah. It is really me showing off. There's a lot of other moves. There's some more standard card mucks where you would actually wave your hand over it and then come back, or actually put it on a deck, or cap it and turn it over.
But
use some color
you
changes,
don't use any of those.
No,
you use this one.
No, it's one hand comes in, turns the card over, and it switches. Because the nice thing is, in that moment in the routine, you can show the card and then let it fall, so that there's no it's very clear that I've never switched it until the moment where it's being switched.
Yeah, it's right there, right out in the open. It's a crazy move.
It's a crazy move that's so much fun to do.
And for some reason, I'd never know the name of it unless you did it. The MacMillan Switch is forever burned into my brain. Let's also, you should check out Erik's clip-on Full List where you can see all of that, all of that happening. Number 6.
Number 6 is something that, again, it became a fidget move for me, but I'm starting to use it actually more and more in my work, and that's the table pharaoh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, table pharaoh is super cool because I think I can actually do it on this little pad, but you just, you divide the deck, you push it together, and then I don't know if we can get a shot of this, but all the cards perfectly lace up.
I don't know, Erik. I might see. No, okay, yeah, he's got it.
Did I get it?
You got it.
We're gonna close it up there.
You did.
Close up there. The overhead camera's off.
No, it's great. Table pharaoh.
It's super cool because it's definitely one of those that if you do it in front of a lay audience, you get a lot of credit for being able to do it, and it's. I would say it's tough to learn, but once you learn it,
it's one of those. Yeah.
Because I know you do it.
I've played with it, but it's one of those things that it just kind of clicks one day. It's like one day you can do it, can't do it, one day you can, right?
And the biggest hint I'll give to people who are watching this is you do need to do it with a traditionally cut deck. Because if you don't, because this has to do with the way cards are cut. Traditionally cut, the blade moves through the back of the deck, I believe. I think Richard Turner talks about this a lot in his Penguin Live act. But if the cards are traditionally cut, if they're not traditionally cut, you can still table pharaoh, but you have to do it with the deck face up. So if you want to do it with the deck face down, they have to be traditionally cut.
Yeah. Now he does exactly what you talk about. It actually puts a spotlight on it when he performs and tells the audience look how pretty this is as every card goes in between each other. Kind of similar to what we're talking about with the second deal, where it's on display.
Yeah. When it's on display, it can be used as a really pretty move to gain you a lot of credibility with your audience. But also, if you know how to do a pharaoh shuffle, in the back of Expert Card Technique, in the back of Expert at the Card Table, some of these old textbooks, there are really great tables on how to use pharaohs to move cards up and down. If you want to do some not terribly difficult riffle stacking demonstrations, using pharaohs, understanding the math behind a pharaoh to actually separate out like a royal flush or the 4 aces will really get you some powerful routines that if you just do a regular pharaoh in the hands, those are very powerful. But if you combine it with a table pharaoh where it looks like you're doing a riffle shuffle, but you're secretly weaving the cards perfectly, it's super strong.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of times people don't tend to put pharaoh stuff in their work because of the chance that you could mess it up.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is I don't think people realize that a lot of great tricks that use pharaohs use partial pharaohs.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Just the bottom.
You can take just the bottom or just the top and then put it in and do
you only
some
need
stuff.
to get 10 cards or something like that, right? The rest can be wherever.
There's a great Harry Lorraine trick where he produces the aces that uses a couple of pharaohs in the center of the deck. That you're taking cards off the top and then pharaohing into the center, which is a lot easier than trying to do a perfect 26 and 26.
I mean, you got to cut it perfectly in half. Trick I love the same lines as Woody Aragon. It's a trick called Maverick. It's in his book
Maverick's
on English.
so good.
Such a good trick. Yeah. And the other last thing that I would mention about doing a table pharaoh is that it's a great poker deal with your friends.
Yeah.
Because the cards never leave the table, right? They're always face down and nobody can see anything. That's one I've always used.
Yeah, it's a solid move that it brings you joy. When you hit that perfectly, it feels so good.
It does feel good to be able to say, I can do a table pharaoh. Yeah, why not? I don't know, 'cause I can. All right, we're getting to the second half,
okay.
Erik. Let's go with number 5.
Okay, this is a little-known Leonard Green move that is one of my favorite moves to
Leonard
do.
who?
Leonard, yeah, he's some Swedish dude. You don't even know about him. It's the Windmill arc move.
Oh, I do know this move.
It's so great because it's let's see if I think I've got so it looks like this where you take a card and you go up like that and then you come back around like this and then you push it out. Oh, and it's switched into the Queen of Clubs.
Holy crap.
It is my favorite show-off move to use inside of an ambitious card routine because essentially what the move is it's a way of secretly getting the top card to the second or turning a single card into a double. It's taught in, I think he covers it in his Penguin Live.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. Well, I was there, and I hung on to his every word. He actually, if you watch this
I filmed it.
You filmed it because you knew he was coming to town.
Ago.
So yeah, so you told me to come to the lecture, and actually he brings me up and sits me at the table when he gets into some of the moves that we'd never met before, and I just came as a fan. And so that was a real treat for me to sit there. But he covers it in the Green Magic DVDs, which I think we have DRM, I'm not quite sure of, but I know that he teaches it in the Leonard Green master file that was filmed by Louis D'Amato, which I know we have in stock at penguinmagic.com. But the Windmill arc move is awesome.
Do it again. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people have seen this move.
Yeah, so it's up and around, back, like that, and then you can even do like this kind of fun thing where you go out, and it comes back up. So you can use it like in an ambitious card routine, but it's one of those, it was definitely a fidget move for me for a long time, but it's such a fun move to do.
Yeah, I didn't know you did that move.
Yeah.
The only other person I've seen do it is a guy named Matthew Dowden. He, for whatever reason, he had great DVDs back in the day. I'm sure you probably get them on Penguin, called Party Animal, I believe. And some trick that I really liked, he, for whatever reason, used that sleight. And I think even on the tutorial, he's like, I don't know why I use this sleight, but I do.
You can tell a Leonard Green fan when they do the Windmill arc move, because it's in the original Green tapes, it's like in volume 5 or 6, so you gotta like dig deep.
Sounds like a Mortal Kombat move or something.
It's definitely a finisher.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Fatality. All right, let's go to number 4.
So this is something. So I'm not going to do it on video because I can't do it video worthy yet, but I can do it enough to get away with it. But it's my good friend Michael Feldman has a work on the Riffle action shuffle palm.
Oh man, yeah.
So essentially, what you're doing, and I'm not going to do the move, but you should see Michael Feldman do it because it's beautiful.
I've seen Feldman do this.
But he gets a palm out of that, and he comes away with it. And he does have a download out on this. You can find it. It might be on Penguin. If not, it's definitely out there. But he took work that Marlowe did on Marlowe's Riffle action shuffle palm, and then he actually made it A, deceptive, and B, useful.
Yes.
It's a really, really good move.
Yes.
I'd originally picked up the download 3 or 4 years ago and was playing with it, and then Michael and I became friends when we met at 4F, and now we hang out in session a lot at conventions, and he actually sat down and taught me and one of my students this move, and we've been messing with it for all year. And I've used it a couple times under fire when I was like, oh, I want to see if I can.
Yeah, like what in context would you use it for?
What I would use it almost like a one-handed top palm, but in. I was
gonna say it's very similar.
It's very similar to the one-handed top palm, but it's more deceptive in that I'm not doing it while handing you the deck. I'm doing it in the context of shuffling.
And losing the card.
Yeah, I'm losing the card in the deck. So I've taken a card, had it returned to the deck, I've controlled it to the top, and now I'm shuffling the deck to lose that card in the deck before, maybe have you shuffle or something, or I'm going to go ahead and put it down. But now I can go south with the card I've got the card palmed in my right hand, but I can put the deck out on the table with my left hand, so I'm motivating my actions as I'm covering the smaller action of my hand dropping with the larger action of the deck dropping to the table and placing it out there, putting a lot of heat on the deck. It's a neat move that he's done some really cool work with.
Yeah, I've seen him do it as well.
Yeah.
We used to hang out in Boston, and I believe he taught that to me, and that is just one of those things that has gone from here somewhere else.
Feldman is a super talented sleight of hand artist who's like me in that he will often take a more difficult route than necessary.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. You guys are cut from the same cloth over there. Michael Feldman out there. Anyway, we're getting into near the end.
Yes.
I mean, all this stuff's been really hard.
Yeah.
Number 3, though.
Number 3 might be the most difficult thing on the whole thing. This is my move. It's taught in a set of lecture notes that I made up specially for the Tricks convention, and an early version of it is taught in my Murphy's at the Table lecture. It's the Spanish train change.
You were talking about this because you invented it on
I invented it on a train while I was in Spain, which is the reason I should not be allowed to name any of my own moves. Let's see if I should probably set it up a little bit here.
Spanish train change.
Yeah, the Spanish train change. So what it is so you'd show one card like this, and then I would, that's not a very good version of it. So you would be turning over one card like this, and then what I would do is I would blow on it like this so that it would turn into a joker, and then I would wave my hand over it like that and turn it into the 5 of clubs. You know what? we'll give away part of this for free. I'll tell you exactly what it is.
We're going to teach the Spanish train change right here?
Yeah, a very quick overview. Essentially what this is I'm second dealing a double in this motion into a Stuart Gordon turnover and then a paired laydown. So this is 2 cards. So it's there's three cards here. I'm just turning over 1 card here, and then I'm dealing thirds, but then dealing a second into a double, keeping that double together, and then putting it down. There's no reason to do this move. there's no really good reason. I use this in a version of the ambitious card that I do, where somebody picks a card, and then I don't have a pen on me, but I want them to know that the card is the same card coming to the top. So I change the card to have a blue back, and so this is how I change the card to a blue back. And I'm not ready to release the full work on it yet, but it is an unnecessarily difficult move that brings me joy.
One of those things that's better explained, actually, sometimes, just to show how difficult something actually is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So I went to Spain. My partner and I travel internationally. Once a year, she and I go on like a big trip, and we decided we were going to go to Portugal and then Spain, and I was going to track down Spanish card magicians. And
You're going to hunt Spanish card magicians.
Yeah, it was, and so I met some fantastic Spanish card magicians out there. But I was on a train headed to Madrid when I came up with this sequence, and played with it the rest of the trip. Yep.
Yeah, no, it's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary,
but perfect for this list.
Exactly.
This is why it exists.
Yeah.
Okay. How about number? Oh man, 2. We're already
Yeah.
at 2.
2. I think this is going to be a little bit of a surprise. It's the double lift.
Oh, it is a surprise.
Yeah, and there is a quote from Simon Lovell that has stuck with me for years, and that is, the double lift is the easiest move to do badly. I think a double lift is a really interesting move because it's a foundational element for us. Almost every magician can do a double lift.
It unlocks all the doors.
Yeah, but I can spot a double lift from across a room half the time, because so many times I see magicians doing like this stuff and then turning it over and putting it back, or like hitting it and then being very, very cautious about doing this. And I think in the Max convention I talked a lot about different double lifts, and it's one of those moves that we don't practice, because we think about how easy it is to do a double lift, and we forget that doing these kinds of things, it needs to be perfect, because it's so easy for the cards to split, or for you to have to really think about it and work on it, because you're so focused on all these other moves that you forget to go back to the foundational elements. And so when I watch a magician perform and they turn a card over like this and they're doing this stuff, and then they click their fingers, and then suddenly
What are you doing back there?
now the card is on top of the deck.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's a really easy move to do badly. So
Yeah.
it's one of those moves that's super difficult because we forget about it.
You're right.
However, I will say, one of my favorite DVDs that I ever purchased off of Penguin Magic, this is before I even joined the team, and it was in one of those, one of those like $99 deals where you get like 5 things for $100. There's a little known DVD called Tech Int. And it's a guy from South Korea, and it's all done silent. It's got these really cool video graphics, and he's like look over his shoulder, and then he like breaks it down in slow motion, and he's got something called it's called the spinal lift. And
Another Mortal Kombat move.
yeah, this is super difficult card magic that should be Mortal Kombat moves. But it's a double lift that I do in my show now, and I really like it because it's this.
Oh wow.
That's a double lift that he does. It's on the Techint DVD.
Techint.
Yeah, it's Techint. If you Google that, or if you search that in the Penguin Magic search bar, it comes up. I think I'm the only person who's purchased it, because no one else has ever done it. But if you just go like that, it comes up. It's a really beautiful double lift that's super disarming, but also really pretty, which is why I do it. And you can do some neat laydown stuff, and he uses it to get into some really interesting color changes. So it becomes a foundational element in that. So it's the double lift, like a normal double lift is super easy to do badly, but here's a super difficult one that's completely unnecessary.
Sure, right. So like in the context of a show, are you using the same double lift throughout, or are you?
No, there are certain times where I will do like the spinal lift. Like if if I'm in my sort of parlor show where I need to do a double lift because I do some interesting stuff with switching cards, I will have the deck up here and I will set up for the spinal lift so that I can turn it over and show the audience like this.
Yeah.
So there's like a nice display, and then I can bring it down to do whatever I'm going to do. When I'm in close-up, I will vary my double lifts depending on what's going on. I have some sort of more freewheeling, messy double lifts that I will use that fit in context with more messier, less refined-looking tricks, where I'm using sort of chaos to cover a bunch of different things, unless I'm using a more sort of a more refined routine where I want everything to be nice and crisp. Then I will do some more crisp double lifts, but I vary them up all the time.
Mm-hmm. So you would suggest if somebody's looking into, I think we're always looking for new double lifts and stuff.
Yeah, I believe Double Take by Gregory Wilson is an excellent DVD resource.
He does talk a lot about the double lift, doesn't he?
As a matter of fact, Greg came up to me after the Max LA event,
Yeah.
and he was like, "What's the source on that double lift? Is that yours? Where is it?" Or, "Hey, the source on this one that you mentioned, I think you don't know, it actually goes back to this."
Yeah.
He's super into it,
Yeah,
and,
he really
and Greg
is.
does some really great double lifts.
Yeah, super important.
Yep.
Not as important as number one.
No, number one, the move that everyone should learn.
The most important.
I think you already knew where we were
If I had to
headed.
bet money, I probably know. Yeah,
The snap deal.
the snap deal.
Learn it, forget all the other card moves.
Also known as, but not the name of.
It's the laser deal.
Yeah,
A lot of
I don't
people
wanna
say the laser.
ruffle your feathers
No,
there, but-
I feel very strongly about
I
this.
know.
The laser deal is the routine, the snap deal is the move, and if you can't tell the difference, you're not allowed to do either.
Tell us what it is.
So the snap deal is, we're not really set up to do it real here, but it's a way of taking a card and placing it, and it can disappear. But it's really great because you can use, actually, I'll move this.
just move it.
I'll move this over here. You can use the snap deal. You take the King of Hearts, you put it right there, and you square up the deck, and then the King of Hearts is on top of the deck. You can use it as a color change where you go like that. So there's a million and one uses for it.
Yes, you've exhausted it.
the-
So Leonard Green.
Leonard Green, there's a few different major resources. The first is obviously Leonard Green's Green Magic. He also teaches it in the master class. I originally learned it from Leonard Green's The Snap Deal booklet, which is written by Tom Stone, and I know we carry here on Penguin Magic. Other than the Leonard Green resources, I would there's two others that are more recent. I would recommend Takumi Takahashi. He studied with Leonard Green. He has an excellent explanation of it. And then my Penguin Live lecture is, I think a lot more people have been learning it recently from both myself and Takumi. And we have different approaches to it. I think that Takumi is really great for people who English is not their first language. I have been told by other magicians that my explanation of it really helps English speakers because when they learn from Takumi or Leonard, there's a different way that they explain it than I do, and different sort of metaphors and idioms. One is not necessarily better than another. It's just that they're different resources. And I, of course, teach very different approaches to it than Takumi does. But it's another one of those moves that a lot of people fundamentally misunderstand, and so you see it done poorly a lot. But when you see it done well and you start to understand how many different things you can do with it, it's been a bedrock of a lot of different routines that I've used.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize the versatility of it.
Yeah.
And the different ways that you already just showed
yeah.
here, the color change, the control,
Yeah.
the
mean-
vanish. It's one of those moves that audience. It doesn't really fit in any other box
No.
in Magic, right? It's kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
But when audiences watch it, because you can you can spotlight it in your
Yeah.
show.
It's I use it in a full hour and a half evening show. I use it probably a dozen times, but I use it for wildly different things.
Secretly and out in the open,
secretly and openly, and the audience never really catches on because if you're going to learn the snap deal, the most important thing to learn with it is how to fake a snap deal.
Right.
Which I think I talk about in my Penguin Live Act. It's one of those things that if you're going to do it, it's like a second deal. You need to be able to deal a second. You need to be able to make your seconds and your tops look the same. You should be able to make your snap deals and your regular deals look the same too.
Right. Well, if you've never seen Leonard Green, they need to go watch it, right?
Oh yeah, you should definitely go check out Leonard Green live. And there's a bunch of
but
great.
that clip. What's the one clip?
Oh,
is it the TED Talk or
It's
is it
the World's Greatest Magic is the one you should go see because it's
Okay.
him at the height of his powers in the 90s. It was like after he won FISM.
He's doing the blindfold and everything?
He's doing the whole blindfold
Okay.
with the aluminum. I mean, that clip was the reason I do card magic. magic. Watching him on World's Greatest Magic, and I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, but also his TED Talk is super good too.
Well, it chimes back all the way to, choosing to do difficult slides because you like them. Leonard's the type of guy that is up there doing difficult stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Presenting a strong personality on stage and doing all
Absolutely.
these things for real.
Yeah.
Right? So thank you, Erik, for showing up and deciding to blow our brains out with all these difficult moves. Thank you guys for watching. Everything that we've talked about here, you'll be able to find information, all of it, down below on this video. Please leave us a comment. Let us know if you can do any of this stuff. I know I can't. And if Erik's double lift looked good, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If not, let him have it. All right. My name's Nick, and for Erik, thanks for watching.